indirect object? Yes, we have, and which is the issue of case. So number 7, it is in the accusative case. Accusative case. Don't forget that concerning the subject, we said it is in the nominative case, but then it is the accusative case. Why? Because it is affected by the action denoted by the verb. So it is affected by the action denoted by the verb, or better still, it is the recipient or the receiver of the action of the verb. So that's why it is in the accusative case. Do you understand? I believe you do. So let's go to the indirect object. The indirect object. His mother sent him some foodstuffs. Him. The manager paid her workers a huge sum of money. Her workers. My grandchild bought me a birthday present. Me. I have learnt. Told me. My grammar notebook. I have learnt. Told me. My grammar notebook. I bring you good tidings. Good tidings, you. So, looking at these, you would realize that. Now, let me explain something to you very well. While I defined the object the other time, I told you that the object could be the receiver, right? Receiver or the undergoer of an action. Am I right? Exactly. So, looking at these properly, you would see that in the sentence, his mother sent him some foodstuffs. What was being sent? Some foodstuffs, right? Who received what was sent? Him, right? So, the indirect object in an SPOO sentence, of course, because we could only have found an indirect object in an SPO sentence. In an SPOO sentence, rather. Now, that tells you that if you look at this very well, his mother is the subject, sent is the predicator, him is your indirect object, some foodstuffs is your direct object. Same goes for these. The manager, subject, paid, predicator, our workers, indirect object, a huge sum of money, direct object. My grandchild, subject, bought, predicator, me, indirect object, a birthday present, direct object. I, subject, have lent, predicator, told me, indirect object, my grammar notebook, direct object. I, subject, bring, predicator, you, indirect object, and then good tidings, direct object. So that tells you that for us to have a sentence where we have an indirect object, then the sentence must have been one that contains two objects. Don't forget also that I said under the one of direct object that it is that number 3. I said it is the only object in an SPO sentence. So that tells you that if the sentence has just one object, the object in that case should be direct. So we would only talk about something being an indirect object if we have two objects in the sentence. Do you understand that? Yeah, I believe you do. So that's all about that. So now that tells you that the indirect object in a case where we have it is usually the receiver of the action. The receiver. So him is the receiver here. Our workers is the receiver here. Me, the receiver here. Told me, the receiver here. You, the receiver here. While the direct object also in an SPOO sentence is usually the undergoer. So some foodstuffs is the one undergoing being sent. A huge sum of money was what was paid. A birthday present was what was bought. my grammar notebook was what was lent out, and then good tidings was what was brought to you. Do you understand that? I believe you do. So let's look at the characteristics of the indirect object characteristics. Before we go on, let's move the board a bit up. So, first characteristic. It occurs in an SPOO sentence. You see that? I already mentioned that. Occurs in an SPOO sentence. I already explained that. Number two, whenever it occurs, it is usually the receiver of the action. Usually the receiver of the action, while the direct object in that case would be the undergoer of the action. Do you get it? So wherever the indirect object occurs, wherever it occurs, it is usually the receiver of the action, while the direct object would now be the undergoer of the action. It is also in the accusative case. Of course, all objects are in the accusative case. So accusative case. Number four, it is characteristically realized by nouns, pronouns, noun phrases, noun clauses, gerunds, infinitives, and to infinitives. So just like we've said under this, just like we've said here, that it is realized by nouns, pronouns, noun phrases, noun clauses, gerunds. That same goes for the indirect object. It goes for all of the objects, So those are the features of the indirect object. Then the complement intensive. The complement intensive. Complement intensive. Now, complement intensive is a grammatical element that maintains an intensive relationship with either the subject or the object in a sentence. It maintains an intensive relationship with either the subject or the object in a sentence. So that's the complement intensive for you. It maintains an intensive relationship with either the subject or the object in a sentence. It's as simple as that. Now, it may or may not be optional, of course. Now, under the subject, we said that the subject is usually the presence of a particular verb or not does not determine the presence of the subject. Like, the subject would always be present regardless of the type of verb that has been used. But then, concerning the predicator, we said that the predicator actually determines the other items that should come after it. I'm not sure I said it, but then take note of that. The predicator actually determines the item that should come after it. I don't think I actually said that. So let me just put that for you. It determines the items or the elements that should come after it. So what we mean by this is that if the predicator is an action verb, then we should have an object or objects. While if the predicator is a linking verb, then we should have what? A complement. Do you get it? So if the predicator is a monotransitive verb, then we should have just one object. And if it is a ditransitive verb, then we should have what? Two objects. So these items, objects, complements, they are all determined by the type of verb that we have in the predicator. So you get it? So now we say that the complement intensive maintains an intensive relationship with either the subject or the object. We also say that it may be optional, of course. If the verb is an action verb, then we shouldn't see a complement intensive and if the verb is a linking verb, then we should say. So it determines on which particular verb we have in the sentence. Now, it usually refers to an earlier mentioned item in the same clause. Of course, that is either the subject or the object. So for us to have had a complement intensive, then it means that there is an item the complement intensive is referring to, and which the item may actually be the subject or the object. So let's look at examples. No, sorry, before we go into looking at examples. Now, note that we could have, based on the fact that it can refer back to the subject or the object, then that means that we could actually have what we call two types of objects. Two types of complements, subject complement and object complement. So while the subject complement refers back to the subject, the object complement refers back to the object. Do you get it? So it's as simple as that. So let's start with the subject complement. Subject complement. Now, you should note that, first of all, let's start with examples. Joshua became my very good friend. My very good friend. Compliment. The woman in the room. The woman in the room is my mother. My mother. The course is a difficult one. A difficult one. It appears scary. The pot remained hot. The pot remained hot. She looks beautiful. Beautiful. Now, looking at all of these examples, you would see that my very good friend in the first sentence refers to Joshua, am I right? So, who became my very good friend, or what did Joshua become my very good friend? The woman in the room is who? My mother. So, my mother refers back to the woman in the room. The cause is what? A difficult one. So, a difficult one refers back to the cause. It appears scary. Scary refers back to it. The pot remained hot. Hot refers back to the pot. And then she looks beautiful. Beautiful refers back to she. So that's just it. So now, one of the first things you should note is that in the first three examples, these items are realized by nominal items. When I say nominal items, maybe noun phrases, just pure nouns, pronouns, noun clauses, gerunds, to infinitives. They are all under what we call nominal items. While for the last three examples, they are realized by adjectival items. So that means that the first three examples, we have sentences we could call SPC nominal based on sentence patterns, and then in the last three examples, we have sentences we could call SPC adjectival. Do you get it? So that's just it. Now, of course, when we go to the features or characteristics, we would actually be able to discuss these better. So that's just it. So let's go to the characteristics. First thing you should note about the subject complement is it may be realized by nominal or adjectival items. So I already explained to you what nominal items means. It could be just pure nouns, just pronouns, just it could be pronouns, gerunds, noun clauses, noun phrases, etc. And adjectival items, the same thing. It could be pure adjectives, adjectival phrases, adjectival clauses, or something else, relative clauses, etc. Do you get it? So that's just it. So the first thing is the complement, subject complement rather, may be realized by nominal or adjectival items. Number two, it can be said to maintain an intensive relationship with the subject. So it maintains an intensive relationship with the subject. Maintains an intensive relationship with the subject. So that's another thing you should note about the subject complement. It usually maintains an intensive relationship with the subject. Now, that means that it refers back to the subject. It's as simple as that, so it refers back to the subject. The other thing you should note is that it usually comes after a copula or a linking verb. So, comes after a linking verb. Linking or copula verb. Now, that tells you that we have different types of verbs, but then for us to see a complement, a subject complement for that matter, in a sentence, then that means that the predicator or the verbal group must have been realized by a linking verb or a copula verb. Do you get it? Then the next thing is that the one realized by the nominal group is in the nominative case. Do you get it? The one realized by the nominal group is in the nominative case. So now, in the nominative case, that's the one realized by a nominal group. So that means that these three that we have here in these first three examples are in their nominative case. Actually, we'll talk about cases when the items are nominal. So you get it? So for these ones that are adjectival, there is no need talking about cases. Do you get it? So that's just it. And then let's go up a bit. Now, of course, like I already told you that the predicator determines a whole lot of items that should come after it. So its presence, like this, whether it will be present or not, its presence is determined by the verb or predicator. Its presence is determined by the verb. So that's all about the subject complement. Let's go to the object complement. Wow, our body is almost over, but then let's see if we can go without cleaning anything, and if we can't, we'll have to above some things. Object complement. Now, examples. You all elected me the president of this country. You all elected me the president of this country. I call him my God. I call him my God. Some members of the staff. Some members of the staff called their boss crazy. Sorry, I